welcome back to Pokemon Platinum. We're in a new town. That means new gym to beat up.
Yay?
Frankly, it's good because it's the actual fighting type gym.
You're gonna beat up the gym. That's vandalism.
Now, I don't remember if this is the gym that they changed in Platinum, but in the original Diamond and Pearl, there was a gym in one of the towns that you could not go into the first time you went, and then you had to backtrack to it later in order to do it. And in Platinum, they made it so you could do it while you're here already. So I don't know if this is that specific gym, but just in case it is, I appreciate that change.
Is there a purpose to making you backtrack?
Not really.
Because like the only other time they did that was for Giovanni, and
Yeah.
that had a plot purpose. You know, you had to take out Team Rocket before he would fight you.
Yeah. It's
Although-
also mysterious because it's like, oh, so it's like it was close to home. He was so close to home the whole time and stuff like that. Like,
The real question, of course, is how anyone ever challenges the Elite Four when Gym Leader number 8 is always away.
oh, they just do gyms number 9 through 12 like Gary did.
Yeah, that's one of those things that makes sense in context of the greater world. In a game space, not so much.
Yeah, where especially since the anime makes up extra towns all the time. Because
I like how in the anime, Gary never beats Giovanni. He challenges Giovanni and gets wrecked by Mewtwo.
I mean, technically, Ash never beats Giovanni either because
He beats Team Rocket.
Team Rocket. It's like Giovanni had to go. I guess
Due
they
to
just.
emergency something.
I guess they just. I can't remember if it's implied that that's around the time Mewtwo broke out, but they just didn't want to have him fight Mewtwo because that would ruin the
movie.
climax of the
There
movie.
was a scene in the anime where you saw Mewtwo breaking out and flying away. That was supposed to tie in with the movie, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the idea was basically just, crap, if we're setting up all of this mysterious stuff and it's going to be ruined if we have it in the show. So, Team Rocket's the gym leader now. Okay, yeah. And then they just never follow up on it because I don't think Ash or any of them even, like, know anything about Giovanni or care. Not that it really matters.
I don't think they ever
because-
learn anything about Giovanni either, because like they
No.
keep him in shadow the whole time, like they're building him up, and then they just sort of drop him.
And then in later seasons, since he's still technically Team Rocket's boss, he's still there. And then they have him in things like a Hawaiian T-shirt.
He's just there to be he's just there to be comedic relief at that point.
And it's like, wow, okay, you missed your shot there.
Yeah.
Because Giovanni can still kind of be a threatening villain. The Rainbow Rocket thing in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon actually had him be kind of sinister feeling, which I was surprised that they were actually able to make him somewhat interesting in that. Because, for that little thing, Giovanni basically does dimension warping shenanigans and brings back all the villains from all the games before that. And the best one in there is Gestas because he's the Gen 5 villain, and that's just because he's the best. He's the game from the game with the best story. And his whole deal is like, oh, I'm just going to run from the shadows because if you're the actual figurehead in charge, people will go after you. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll let Giovanni thinks he's in charge. And then when you actually talk to Giovanni, he was like, oh, that guy, yeah, he's a tool.
I knew what he was doing. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like it's easier to let him think that he's manipulating me. Pretty much was, and I was just like, oh wow, damn.
They have a Death Note thing going on between the two of them.
Yeah, which was actually pretty cool. You know, Team Rainbow Rocket was a really, really fun segment of that game. It's just disappointing that like the 10 hours of gameplay they actually changed before it were bad story changes that were bad and not good. So
I sort of actually got distracted by what's on screen. What game?
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so
Oh.
the updated version of Sun and Moon. I think
Right.
we talked about it when we did that commentary, but basically they took the interesting villain and then were like, oh no, she's not actually evil because we needed a traditional happy ending instead of a bittersweet happy ending. You know?
Yeah, I
like-
remember not like that idea.
Yeah, so, I mean, granted, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Pokemon has a tone problem inherently, given that a lot of the concepts can be really, really dark when you look past the surface level things involving the concept, which is why there's so much dark fan material about Pokemon. But
there's a reason the manga is the most liked narrative parts of the Pokemon franchise.
yeah, because they actually managed to they actually managed to handle a darker tone pretty well, all things considered.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time. The Gen 5 arc in the manga
is
A,
terrible.
it's a trip. They crucify all the gym leaders. And I'm not even joking. So...
Wait, what, literally crucify?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah? Well, I'm asking if it's literal or if it's not literal. There's no
they're doing the whole anime they're on the cross thing.
They're not like dead, but the symbolism is very clearly supposed to be.
So it's symbolic and it's not literal then.
Well,
they are hanging on crosses. They're just not impaled.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just look up. Hold on. I'm gonna see what happens. If
Are they crucified like on actual physical crosses or are they not? Okay.
Yes.
That's all I was asking. Could have just said yes.
That's what.
That's what we did say, but whatever.
Yeah.
But then you went and said the symbolism, and I'm like, symbolism?
Well, yeah, because it's supposed to be. Yeah, they're on. Okay, I looked it up. If you just look up Pokemon Black, White, Crucify, and you go into Google Images, it's like the first thing that pops up, and they're all tied onto literal crosses all at the same time, and it's like, wow, guys, it's like you couldn't think of anything else for your symbolism. Okay. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, so that was a trip. It's so weird that the game.
Did that
with
guy
the best...
just shout out "Hiya Tears"?
Probably.
Okay.
It's so baffling to me that the game with the best story in the series
has the worst manga.
Has the worst manga and apparently also the worst anime, which I haven't watched, but apparently most people say Gen 5 anime is not good. So. It's just baffling to me.
Well, you know, these adaptations had their own idea of how the story would go, and then Gen 5 comes along and has a very specific idea of how its story should go. It's not necessarily surprising that those ideas would clash.
Like, I guess it makes sense for the anime more than the manga, because the manga's always taken some liberties. Actually, depending on the arc, it's taken a lot. Actually, no, never mind. The manga takes a lot of liberties. Like, they change who the bad guys are and add a whole bunch of random crap. It's just, a lot of the time it works, and this time it didn't. Like, the Gen 1 makes Lance pretty much genocidal.
Oh, no. They're doing this.
It actually...
This
no,
kind of
it's
character writing. It's like, I don't really know what it's like, what it means to be strong, and I don't know how I got to be the gym leader, but I take things really seriously, I swear.
And,
Wink.
you know, the gym leaders are always one note, so it doesn't really bother me, I guess.
No,
that
this
much.
irritates me, this particular kind of character trope, because it's like, okay, we want to have this cute girl be super strong, so she's going to be a ridiculous airhead, and that's how she retains her cuteness, even though she's strong. And I'm like, you know, you could just have a strong leader of a fighting gym who also looks cute. That's a thing that can happen.
I mean, we are getting Toph next generation.
Yeah. Toph of the Rock Hard Abs, who is appropriately the Rock Gym leader.
So I saw the thing.
She's fighting in Gen 8.
Oh, fighting? Okay.
Yeah.
I mistook that icon for a rock icon. Sometimes the fist icon looks like a rock icon in Pokemon.
I saw the thing you retweeted where it was just like, I think they're putting more effort into the Pokegirls in this instead of the game. And I was just like, I chuckled at that because people, gosh, why are you people, you do know that real live humans exist, right? You don't need to be 7,000% horny for fake people. Just gonna throw that out there and then back away.
That's true, but the point is more like the graphical work going into the new Pokemon gen seems a bit shoddy. Like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
a bit half-hearted in the backgrounds department, a bit half-hearted in the animation department. I saw an article about like a bootleg 3D Pokemon game that
Oh,
seems to have.
that's oh god, that's
They stole the animations from Pokken.
Yeah, I know, and that's but you know, it goes like some distance toward explaining people's grief with the new generation, that people believed that so easily.
yeah. It's oh god, Sword and Shield is a landmine of discussion right now, and it's like to the point where it's almost impossible to have a conversation in good faith about it.
Yeah,
Which is frustrating.
yeah, and that's irritating because it should be a pretty cut and dry criticism. Like, yeah, we've had this series where half the draw has been they add new Pokemon and don't remove any every generation, and now we've finally gotten to the point where they're removing quite a lot of Pokemon, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I would like it if we could acknowledge that it's kind of a bummer without trying to defend it. But apparently we have to defend it because most of the people who are leveling the criticism are being assholes about it.
Yeah, so it's also annoying that you can't watch a Pokemon video on YouTube without your recommendations being like, why Sword and Shield is unacceptable.
Thankfully,
you know, and I'm just like, I do not want to watch that video
thankfully
right
you
now.
can click a thing next to your recommendations that say, don't recommend this again, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to do that a lot.
And one of the things you can check when you do that is, I'm not interested in videos from this channel anymore. So if you notice that there's a specific channel, like say Yellow Flash 2, that has just the worst stuff,
Called out.
that's like constantly making videos about how Tifa's tits are being censored or something, you can say, I'm not interested in this channel anymore, and they just won't pop up. So,
Yeah,
thank
so
God.
maybe you don't have to like blacklist Pokemon entirely
Yeah.
from your recommendations, you know, to not see it, which is
But
nice.
yeah, I kind of wouldn't want to blacklist Final Fantasy VII or the subject of Tifa in general for my video recommendations, but lately it's been interesting.
It's kind of sad how like two of the biggest controversies right now in video games are A, about a fictional woman's boobs and whether or not they're too small, and you know, Pokemon. Like it's just like, okay, I can't have Nuzleaf in my run anymore, so the series is dead to me. And it's like, wow, internet's gotten real stupid.
Was it ever
no,
any smarter than it is now? Maybe it's
I
just
think,
like
maybe
maybe it's
the
like
first-
a Donald Trump situation. We just have some obnoxious voices floating around that make the stupid more obvious.
I feel like it might have actually been smarter, like, during the first 30 minutes it existed, and the only people who could post anything to the internet were the people who invented the internet, who I assume you have to be relatively smart in order to make something like that. I don't know.
Dude, if you've ever like gone into learning Linux, you'll know that computer nerds have just the dumbest sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much.
I'm serious. Like, learn a bit about Linux command line and just bask in the ridiculousness of the names they give things.
Can I have an example?
Ah, man, off the top of my head, it's been years since I've learned Linux, but they'll give things names related to nerdy stuff all the time, and it doesn't necessarily make sense what they name things.
Oh, so they just name, like, the command for print Vulcan or something
Something
that.
like that, yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's
okay.
not far off from what I'm thinking.
Okay.
It's not like Windows where everything is all neat and tidy and the names are very utilitarian. In Linux, stuff is weird, man.
So, lawful neutral versus chaotic neutral. Okay, got it. Does that make Apple? True neutral? Then in that
Apple
case?
is lawful evil. No
lawful
question.
evil. Okay.
Yeah.
Lawful evil.
All right. I mean, Windows probably isn't lawful neutral either. I mean, they're all probably evil, but you know, we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt in this instance. They probably don't deserve it, but I've already made my point, and I can't take it back now. It's too late.